welcome to the Stop Money Anxiety Now live podcast on episode number 15, How to Think and Grow Anything You Want. All right, welcome back to another live broadcast of the Stop Money Anxiety Now podcast. I am your host, Wei Hong from the Six Figure Academy.
And I'm your co-host, Jessica, also from the Six Figure Academy.
Oops, did turn on your mic there for a second.
What,
there.
You don't want me here?
No, I want you to sound like you're in the closet in the background. So,
or just in your head, in the background, over your shoulder.
Over your shoulder, just like peeking, trying to steal my microphone. So this is the podcast where we give you the real world tips, strategies, and interviews with some of the most amazing entrepreneurs on the planet, both profit and nonprofit, on how to eliminate the destructive money habits and anxiety so that you can create a prosperous and abundant lifestyle in business free of financial stress and worry. We also have an extra furry guest in the studio tonight that was just hacking up. I don't know what she was doing in the background just now. But sneezing?
Allergy.
Okay. Allergies. I don't know if dogs have allergies. Summer allergies. It is a beautiful day today.
I
and
know.
It's lovely windy. So how are you, Jessica?
Oh my gosh, so great. It's just beautiful. I mean, what is it, June gloom,
so
right?
Great.
I know. The kinesthetics. Yeah, no, June gloom. It's it's been really weird with California lately, but I mean, I can't complain. The sun's out, so it's really nice.
What do you mean by weird?
Like not having sun all day, every day, all the time.
Oh, you're so spoiled.
In California, I know.
You are so spoiled.
I grew up here.
Yeah, you're going to talk to our guest who's over on the East Coast today, and you're going to say, oh my God, we don't have sun. She's like playing the world's smallest violin for you right now, probably.
Well, I will be on the East Coast on Friday.
Yeah, and then you're going to sit there and go, oh, I so love California, so appreciate it.
I do. Every time I come back, every time I touch down in the airport, I'm always so grateful.
Yeah. So how was your week this past week?
It was great. I mean, nothing new. I mean, is anything new with you? I know there's been a lot of changes that's been going on. Yeah,
a lot of changes internally. But last week, I think the highlight of my week this past week was when I got to speak at Career Day over at our local middle school here in El Segundo called Dana Middle School.
Yeah, that was cool.
It's kind of a last minute thing. My friend Tanya Morrison that I play volleyball with before, she teaches there.
Yeah.
And she said they're having Career Day and they need speakers. I was like, I'll speak to kids all day long.
Yeah.
So you don't even need to pay me. I'll do it for free.
Yeah.
And she goes, oh, that's great. And so we got to, and you were there. So we got a chance to speak to 3 different classes.
I know.
And it was fascinating because I think what's different about our approach is that because we work with entrepreneurs in a whole wide array of career sets, right? They were expecting, what they usually see is like, I'm a fireman, not a fire truck. I kept saying I was a fire truck. I wanted to be a fire truck when I was in. No, I was not that special kid that wanted to be a fire truck when I grew up. But what happened was, and then there's like policemen, military, and then there are these like specific like restaurant owners. So very specific niche careers. And then they got to me and I said, I specialize in helping people with their careers as entrepreneurs. So it was cool because we had to define what entrepreneurship was for them. We talked about money with them. And it was amazing because it's what I love about kids is that it's so easy to shift their perspective for the better. And what was kind of sad, there was one question that I asked. Do you remember when I asked about how many of you in middle school already, right? They're only like 14, 13 years old. Eighth grade, right? Yeah. Have already had somebody tell you that you can't make money doing something that you want to do.
Yeah,
a lot of kids raise their hand.
And the little boy who wanted to be a musician, he's in a band, and he said his parents
said, you can't make money doing that. And so I was like, how many of you know people who make money from music? And famous people, guess what? Are people too. And it was, they are.
They don't just exist in magazines,
right? And now with YouTube and everything like that, you can make money without being famous. I mean, like that kind of famous. I just heard it. Did you hear that?
Yeah, that was interesting.
It's fascinating. Must be the other side speaking back.
Oh gosh.
So anyway, that was a really interesting experience, and kind of seeing, the difference between when we talk to kids and getting them to shift their perspective on things versus talking to people like us from millennials on up and trying to get them to shift their thinking on what it takes to be successful. Because they all walked out saying, yes, I get to be this, I get to do this.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and it was interesting because I felt like some kids, they're like a little bit timid on saying what they wanted to do, and then others were just outright, you know, like Ryan, he was like, I'm going to be an actor. I'm going to perform.
Another guy was, I want to play basketball, you know, and what's interesting when we follow the threads is, why do you want to, you know, play basketball? So I want to make money. I want to make money. I want to buy nice cars and nice buildings. And, you know, normally when we're adults and people start saying this, oh, you're so materialistic, right? But what did we do? We took him down a path that's, okay, let's say you keep making money. Yeah. You buy all these cars. Your garage is full. Your house is full. You don't want to be a hoarder. So you can only buy so much. Yeah. What are you going to do with the money next? And we kept following this trail until we got to the point where he basically said, I'm going to give back to my neighborhood. Right? And then the girl next to him said, yes, that's it right there. I mean, she pointed it out. Yeah. It's like, there you go. And it was fascinating because the kids they're so fast, you know?
They're so, and I can't believe, I mean, I want to say like during 8th grade, like I was smart, but I mean, that turned on that early. It's like, that's really impressive.
Yeah, it was amazing. And I think it's a lot to do with technology and, you know, and how quickly information gets to everybody these days. I mean, I still remember talking about going to the library to do research. It was like a whole day ordeal. You know, I had to get ready, and then mom would take us to the library, which is like a 15-20 minute drive. We get there, dropped off. We had to go research, which takes another hour and a half. We get the books that we want. It's not enough. Go research some more. 3 hours later, mom comes back. Are you done yet? No. So she hangs around and we do some more research, and then we're done. And at that time she goes, okay, well, maybe it's time to eat. Then we go eat. So we're not even using the information yet. After we go home, you know, as kids, it's like, I don't want to work right now. And then so it's this massive ordeal. These days, you go on Google, you find the right platforms, not Wikipedia, but you find the right platforms for doing research, and it could take minutes, seconds sometimes, you know, depending on how good you are at Google Foo.
I've never heard that before.
Really? Google Foo is the art of effective searching.
Really?
Yeah, there is a very specific methodology approach to get to efficiently use Google.
I've seen infographics, but I didn't know the term existed. That's really interesting.
Google Foo. So, but it's cool though, because they all walked out with, I said, here's one thing I want you guys to make sure you take away. If there's one thing you take away, and there's 2 things you take away, I just kept them giving something so they can set the intentions of what they want to do and what they want to get out of career day. You know?
Yeah, I found it fascinating that I mean, this is like almost the last few days of their schooling before they get on summer break. And so maybe they're going to spend their entire summer break dwelling on
thinking about what's possible for them. Yeah. Their genius. Yeah, it's so sad though. And I said, you know, raise your hand if you feel like you have a genius in you. And
I know.
And like one hand raised, 2 hands. And sometimes, in one class, there was no hands raised up. Yeah. They were afraid to raise their hands. I said, okay, every one of your hands should be raised up because every single one of you have a unique genius within you.
I really like that you said that because, I mean, they probably have never or don't hear that enough in their lives. Like that was probably really something that struck with them.
Right. So I think a lot of them had some really cool, you know, better intentions leaving that session for career day, because a lot of them like career day. I remember when I went to career day, I was like, oh, God, I don't know what I want. I don't want to pay attention. This is boring.
I don't even remember mine.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Not paying attention.
So speaking of intention, our guest today is another member of the United Intentions Foundation. We had Tim Ray a few weeks back. And we have another individual who has a completely different perspective and a different voice and probably looks a lot cuter and prettier than Tim Ray.
Longer hair.
Jennifer Kramer. So, you know, it was interesting because I met Tim through Jennifer, and Jennifer was introduced to me through another mutual friend of ours. And, you know, she has a background in education and athletic administration, and fundraising and marketing and nonprofit development, website and public speaking. She's a Swiss Army knife of awesomeness, basically. And I think, you know, she can absolutely appreciate kind of our experience over at the Herald Career Day thing. But, you know, we're gonna have her on the show today to talk about, one, of course, her money story. Like nobody can get on the show unless they're willing to talk about their money story. And to talk about, you know, our topic today is how to think and grow, not how to think and grow rich, but how to think and grow anything you want, which is kind of like the crux behind the United Intention Foundations, right? So anyway, welcome to the show, Jennifer. Are you there? I know we're hearing Yeah.
Hi, Jennifer.
It's good to finally get you on the show.
I'm very excited.
Yeah, because normally we have you on the kind of in the background. I think when I was on you guys' show, I saw you come in and out, and so I'm really excited to finally have a conversation with you.
Oh, it's so great, and it's so crazy about when you guys were talking about at the career day. You asked the kids like, "What's their genius?" In fact, I probably one of the forms that you signed for to be on our show, our radio forum, is the question I ask is, "What do you consider your genius?"
Did I answer that? I don't remember.
I'll have to look. I was hearing you said, I'm like, I wonder if he answered that question on our radio.
I wonder what your answer was.
Yeah, I'll have to take a look at it.
My genius is helping people identify their genius.
But I think it's a great question. And like one question I always, whenever I work or train adults or anything, I always ask them, what do you want your legacy to be?
Wow.
And really with that question, because I'm like, everyone has a vision, purpose, and mission in life, but what do you want your legacy to be? And they're like, I have no idea.
I know.
And we'll get back to that because it's something you should think about on a daily basis. Like, what do you want your legacy to be?
No, totally. I mean, I always ask them more. So a lot of people get asked. I mean, a lot of people in the entrepreneurship industry who are into personal development, they get asked that quite often. And so I always like to spin it a little bit and says, how many people do you want to show up at your funeral? Which is and people go, wait, what do you mean? It's like, I don't care, I'm dead. It's like, no, but if you think about it, some of the most influential people in the planet have people show up and they don't even know who they are, never met them in their life, and they still showed up.
This is true. Yeah.
Think about that, right? When the Pope passes away, when Michael Jackson passed away. I mean, all those different people who have made an impact or created some kind of legacy, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's a really good question. That's actually one of the questions that the words that I look for when I'm doing a enrollment conversation with a potential coaching client. I keep listening if they use the word impact, if they use the word legacy, because if they don't use it once in the entire conversation, may not be a good fit. So Jennifer, since you're on the show, let's start off and get the money story piece out of the way. What is your money story because this is a Stop Money Anxiety now, so we talk about money stories.
Well, I guess what I've always, from what I can remember, I've always been taught to be a saver, to save. And, I didn't grow up in the most affluent family. My dad worked and they're both in corporate jobs. My dad was like AT&T for like 40 years. My mom was insurance. And, I have a little sister. She's about 2.5, 3 years younger than me. Oh. And, we had everything that we wanted, but we didn't ever live beyond our means. My mom, very health conscious, and we didn't eat a lot of processed foods. We didn't watch a lot of TV. Nice. And, we were always just told to go outside and play. And that's what we did. And, everything about money was we need to save the money. So when you earn your money, then you put this away for savings, and then you donate some back to whether it's church or something that you truly believe in. And then you have your spending money, and you have your bill money, and then you have like your fun money. So I was taught from a very early age, but the biggest thing is to be a saver. And I think in my adult life, I carried that out because I have a lot of investments. I really invested my money very well, it's in IRAs, 401ks, and real estate. I was one thing that always stuck with me was just to save money. So nice. I don't know. I guess that's a money story, I guess.
Yeah, no, absolutely, because there is a nice, unique balance when it comes to prosperity, abundance, and creating success, depending on what it is that we want to do, where that plays a role, and depending on the size of what we call the container of that story and what it creates in your life. I came from a household of savers, but for some reason, the way it was taught to me just didn't sound quite as nurturing as yours. so much so that I rebelled. It's like, I don't want to save. I don't need to save. That's what my parents did. I don't want to do what my parents did. So that's fascinating. And so do you feel that the money story that you have is contributing to where you want to go, where you want to be? I mean, in other words, from a financial standpoint, do you feel that, you would like things to be better, or do you think things are just absolutely perfect the way they are currently in your life?
Oh, no, I think everything everything's always a work in progress, and there's always room for improvement. And I learn new things every day. I love to learn. That's one of these things, is learn about anything and everything that's new. And I'm always open to learning something new. And, and teaching my daughter, because I have a 10-year-old daughter, and teaching the same type of things. And I'm very mindful in how I want her to own her choices. So, she earns allowance, and she makes a choice to spend on, whatever she would like to, or makes a choice to, have her own her choices. And that's me, is it so she can feel empowered, as, even a 10-year-old can. And she actually values a lot. Like when she saves a lot of money, she has it in this little Barbie doll bank that tells her how much she saved. And it's really cute. And it's like her friends come over and they hear that, like, she'll put her money in it and they hear how much it is. And they're like, oh my goodness, you have this much. She's like, yeah, but I also have all this fun money over here in this one. Right. And it's just, I guess I always try to lead by example. Now, have I slipped up a lot of times in my life? Yes. And lived beyond my means, of course.
Explore your boundaries.
Of course. And everyone has, I believe everyone has, moments of impulsivity, and you want something, or want to go on a nice vacation, or do. I love to travel, so that's probably where I spend the majority of my money. I absolutely love travel,
right?
And learn about different cultures.
And because of what you're involved in, I mean, obviously, if you were to generate more revenue, that would help on a variety of different levels too, right? To help you do more of what you want to do with, the nonprofit stuff, and obviously more travel, right?
Definitely, because we're a nonprofit, so we live, breathe, and die by donations, and it's very important for us to, in order to carry out our mission and empower children all over the world, to kind of teach them that they have the ability to create, the reality around them, that, we have the funds to do that. So yes, it's, maybe that is why I'm involved with nonprofits, because even the school I was an administrator in for 7 years was a nonprofit school. So who knows? That's why.
Maybe that's why, huh? Going to a nonprofit. It's interesting because I just had a conversation about saving this morning when I was at the gym with my workout buddy. And it was interesting because he had a little aha moment talking to his insurance agent the other day. And he was like, oh my God, he goes, I have a question about this story that I have. I said, what's the story? It's a story about saving, but it's a story about the only way for me to become a millionaire or become successful and rich is if I save enough money. And I said, oh, that's interesting. So if he's not saving, then he's not on his way to be successful, which is kind of a fascinating thing. And, I mean, who doesn't want to be a millionaire? Right? I mean, now people can say, I'm good with $500,000 a year or $250,000 a year, whatever the case may be.
But I mean, if they had the option to.
If they had the option to become either a millionaire or a $250,000, what would you choose? And so that was a really interesting. It's like today was the story. The theme of the day was about saving, because on another client we just found out we were doing some work together, and we were looking at some of the assets, and she had no idea that in savings that she's put together, she goes, oh, on paper. I said, actually, no. If you liquidate everything today, you would have $1 million. She's a millionaire, and she didn't even realize she was a millionaire. There's like accidental millionaires. Like, oh yeah. But that's what most millionaires are. They're accidental.
Yeah.
Right? So I think it's a fascinating thing. And it's something that needs to be taught to understand that you can be a passive, like I say, a saving to be a millionaire, or to a multiple six-figure earner, so to speak. Or you could, and it could be an active one. So I think what my workout buddy was dealing with was the old school, have your cake and eat it too.
Save.
Yeah, save, and that's the only way. But if you don't save, then you can't be successful, because nobody else in his family has been able to prove that. When I can actively be a millionaire, like make active income to be a millionaire. So
then you can do the flip side of that too. Like if you don't risk things and if you're always in that like hoarding saving mode, then if you don't take a risk on something, then you might not have a larger return.
Right. Or even just allow money to flow like it's supposed to, right? You know, money's energy and it needs to flow. So even when you flow it into like a 401k, 401k doesn't just sit there either, right? I mean, there are still people today that literally, what I did for a couple months actually, literally put money in your mattress. Actually, I put it in my bag. Yeah, for the last 3 months. When was Icon? It was
that was, I think,
4 months. April,
2 months?
3 months ago. And I said, "Oh, I gotta go to the bank." I had $10,000 I was just carrying around with me every single day.
But you still have you?
No, I finally put it in the bank. But in fact, I put it back yesterday. But for a while, I was just kind of holding it there, and it wasn't doing anything for anybody. It was doing anything any good, and that was kind of like. And the minute I put it in direction, put it to some use, things shifted. You could feel there was a shift in the energy around the work, the business, and everything like that. Just from that little pile of cash I was carrying around with me all day.
Wait, so did you deposit it with the intention of wanting to shift it, or did it just so happen?
I needed to give it something to do.
Oh.
Otherwise, it's just sitting there. It does nothing when it's sitting in my bag. Yeah, it was literally sitting and doing nothing. So I think, Jennifer, when you actually. When you save money, you're not actually literally just saving and putting someplace where it doesn't do anything. It's actually performing a function wherever you put the money, right?
Right, and I earmark it for things. Like I have a fund. I guess my intention when I save the money, I want my loved ones to be taken care of. So I have like a fund for my daughter, a college fund. I have her wedding, car, house fund. I have a fund for my nephew for his schooling and my sister. I have one for my parents. So I've earmarked it all for specific things. So yes. Do something.
And was this system something that you learned from your parents, or was it something that you just developed through the years, knowing that you wanted to earmark?
Family's very big for me, and my parents spent a lot of years taking care of me and my sister, and my goal was to always make sure my parents were taken care of and my sister was taken care of. So that was a very big deal for me, and it was very important for me to do that.
You know, because I think this is actually a really good topic, because a lot of people struggle with that piece. You know, I know most entrepreneurs actually get really good, me included, like at making money. And that was like the most number one thing. So wealth generation tends to be a priority for a lot of people. I think an underutilized skill set is the wealth preservation piece. It's like you're making money. So what are some of the things that you found that has helped you consistently stay on the path of making sure that you allocate money in a specific way? Because what you're doing is very similar to what we talk about in our Prosperity Breakthrough program, which is giving money a direction, giving money a purpose. Every single dollar has a purpose, so it doesn't just sit there and not do anything.
Well, I'm extremely a type A personality.
Oh, so nice. That helps.
So that definitely, my executive function skills are off the charts. So that definitely helps. But, you know, I guess my mom and my dad taught me when I was younger how to separate things. And, you know, when I, generate revenue each month or however often it is, then I always look at the big picture. I'm like, okay, so my daughter's college fund is okay. I'm going to let that, I'll play with the market on that one this month. And then, and I'll look at it that way, but I allocate it based on the needs. But I always have to make sure, that, because there were times when I would flip it. I would save too much and not save enough for myself ongoing, not having fluid. And I was like, I can't do that. I have to be smart about it, because I have to make sure. And I guess I work off what if situations, because that was one thing my mom always taught me, is that really the only person you can depend on is yourself. So you always need to prepare for all the what if situations in life, because there's going to be a million of them. Right. So, and has there ever been a circumstance when that preparation for the what if kind of you felt was a little bit got in the way of certain things that you wanted to do? Has that ever? Yes, the traveling part. Yeah. The traveling part. Because I have family all over the world. Like my family's from Malta, which is a small Mediterranean, and then I have family in my cousin lives in Dubai, and I'm actually technically from Canada. But yeah, no, I love to travel over the world. Like I want to go to Egypt, and because I was a history teacher, and and I find myself having to save more for that rather than just I'm changing my mindset a little bit on it. I'm trying to, because I've realized that my focus was more on taking care of other people rather than worrying about myself, which as something selfish. I view it as I have to take care of myself, because if no one takes care of me, I mean, I'm the only person who can take care of me. Right. So. Right.
You know, and there's a lot of layers in what you just said there. It's kind of interesting, which is really cool. And you know, because I grew up in a household where you know, we were kind of having, my dad kind of instilled the same mindset that, you know, if you can learn how to do it yourself, then do it yourself. Don't rely on anybody else. So we never outsourced. We never paid for a service, you know, and as a result, I know how to do random things like,
me too,
lay hardwood floors or fix plumbing or
electricity. I can change.
Like yeah, right. And, you know, I could tear down an engine and rebuild it again. You know, it's like, you know, I could do arc welding because I have an arc welding. I have an arc welding machine because I got it. It's like, oh, this is cool. I want to learn this, and I learned it, and I actually make some really beautiful weldings before.
What?
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
So it's, but you know, but it's exhausting though, don't you think, Jennifer? I mean, having to think that you have to be good at everything, learn how to do everything, doesn't that sometimes feel a little bit exhausting?
Yes, and I've grown to see that probably within the past like 3 or 4 years, is that I was always worrying so much about everybody and everything else and doing everything myself that I just never it's like you don't give yourself a break.
Yeah.
Sometimes you kind of need one.
Right.
Well, I found it interesting that you guys are bringing this up about, you know, about having to do everything, because, you know, you both seem like you want to do things and you can do things, but it goes back to the genius part, right? And so instead of exerting energy in a lot of these other ways and just focusing it on one genius. And so do you feel like that was something that you were able to focus on while you kind of went through this realization of, you know, like taking care of other people and doing things for yourself?
Yeah, I do think so. It was actually ended up getting very sick. I had like 3 surgeries in 2 months. Whoa. And I had to make like some really hard life decisions. And actually how I came here to United Intentions. Tim was a former wrestling coach of mine and a parent at my school, and I retired from that school. And, you know, because I wanted to do more things for my daughter, I realized that, you know, she lived at my school and I wanted to just be there for her. And Tim, you know, him and I met for lunch, and he's like, hey, why don't you help me run this company? I was like, sure. I love and, you know, I have experience, and it's really developed in the past 2.5 years to do some really, really awesome things. Like Tim's a great leader, and, you know, his mission and for what he wants to do. And now with the education program is just really, really progressed us. So
yeah. And I forgot to remind our audience, if you're joining us live on Spreaker.com, and if you are listening and you don't know where that is, just go to Spreaker.com where you can get the mobile app. We're actually live, so you can actually jump on the chat if you have any questions at all. And this is a very important topic, because if you're not doing any kind of saving right now at all, putting nothing away, and you are an entrepreneur, or you're just anybody, make sure you chime in and ask questions, because we're obviously talking to someone who has got a system down to help save on a variety of different levels. And you know, what's cool about, you know, the people that we have in here, I love the fact that we can share things and be vulnerable and be open, because, you know, people have this weird thing about expecting experts to be perfect. Do you ever get that, Jennifer?
No one's perfect. Everyone's a work in progress.
Right.
All the time.
And, you know, and you know, I talk to a lot of coaches who are, you know, who worry about whether or not they know enough, whether or not they're good enough to coach people. And I tell people all the time, it's actually much easier if you're only a couple steps ahead, then what you've gone through and been able to solve is fresher in your head than someone who's like miles ahead in their journey, and being able to reach back and say, here, let me help you. Right.
It's a great point.
Right. So, you know, and there's ways to do, but there's strategies are to both ways to doing it. But, you know, this saving thing is so important. I mean, I was just talking to our marketing guy, Chris, last night, and we were just talking about how important it was to, you know, save, to teach people better saving tactics, you know. So it's an interesting thing. So what did you find out, Jennifer, when you found out, okay, what would be your unique genius if you didn't have to do everything? You know, like right now I have someone that cleans my house, I have someone that does my laundry, so that way I said, you know, I can do it, and I'm actually pretty good at it, but do I want to keep doing it? What are some of the geniuses that you found that would be, you'd be better off putting your time and energy in that and having other people do other things that you know may not be as good at?
So like, what do you mean?
Like in the area of work or even in the area of home, as just because like you said, I mean, you were doing everything, you're taking care of people, and because you're good at a variety of different things, and being type A, I mean, that's almost, you can't help yourself. It's like, this is something I could do.
I a list every single day, and my list start at like 5 a.m. and I just chop through my list every single day.
Right? So if you were to choose one thing, one skill set that you absolutely love to do that you would never give up for anybody else to do, what would that be?
I would say like I love developing relationships with people and connecting people. Because when I love learning about someone's story and their why and where they come from. Very intentional listener. I'm a very good listener, and I found that sometimes, because I'm trying to multitask too much, that part of me would suffer, and that I didn't feel like I was being authentic to myself. Because I think that's one of my greatest geniuses or qualities, whatever you want to call it, is that I really listen to people, and I really intentionally listen. And I want to find a way to, the two things that I try to instill in people and tell almost every person I meet is live a grateful life and always lead with kindness. It's focus on what you're grateful for. And then it gives you a different perspective, and you can focus on what truly matters rather than what's on the other side, on the greener. And then always lead with kindness. If you lead with kindness and love, then it could spread to anyone. Now, is it always going to happen? No, we're all human, but those are two things that I try to do. And that was me trying to do everything for everybody. The thing that suffered for me, because I love to like be the person. Like, because I'm a former teacher too, so I have kids come back to me and like they're so successful in what they're doing, and it's like I love to know that I was a part of that. When they come back and thank me for it, I don't necessarily need to thank you, but I love to see them flourish and be happy and do well in life, and I love that. So
So
did I answer it okay? I wasn't really
sure. There are no wrong answers on this show ever. No, I mean, that's how did you come to that? Were you always that way, or was this again part of your journey as well?
I think I think I've always been a really good listener. All my friends used to always come to me and they would talk to me about everything. And I think that was part of me being a teacher. I started teaching really, really young. I started teaching at 19. Wow. And
so
coaching.
5 years ago?
No, I was there for actually 17 years. So, but no, I just love people, and I love, like I said, seeing where they come from, because I've had some things happen to me in my life, and I don't know. Everyone has a story, and I don't like. I'm very mindful of never to be judgmental, because it's just not. It's not fair, and it's not my place ever to judge anyone. So that's why I think I listen so intently to people, because I read body language very well with people. You can definitely tell where they're coming from. And so
what's my body doing right now?
Yeah.
This is like
for our listeners, this
is screen. I read everything about them, how they're saying it, their mannerisms, everything, and then I'm able to, mindfully respond. I'm just very. My mom's always said that. She's like, you've always been a really good listener.
My parents like your genius is being present, like very present in the moment.
Patient is probably one of my greatest virtues.
Wow.
I'm very patient with people.
It's that's a. I have so many things I want to say. I just don't even know where to begin. It's like, it's one of those things where the judgment piece. That's what I wanted to say. Something. That's a really interesting thing that you bring that up, because what we found in the work that we do is, have you found that when people judge, it actually gets in the way of their curiosity and their ability to kind of learn more about the person in front of them.
Of course, yeah.
It's like a stopping block. So for those of you out there who like to judge people, whether it be for a living or not, know that you're probably missing a big piece of that individual that's sitting in front of you right now.
And it's funny because the last week I had met a friend of a friend, and he was really quiet, really kind of timid, kept to himself, and I just thought, I mean to be really honest, I just judged that he's probably like, I just have no interest in talking to him right now, or there just like wasn't any instance for any conversation to happen, and wasn't taking initiative. But lo and behold, I was just asking questions later about like, oh, like where are you from? Like what do you do? And then it turns out that he's actually heavily involved with cryptocurrency. And it had been a topic that's been on the forefront of my mind, and we just had this hour-long conversation. At the end, I was like, wow, I should really be careful about my
judging,
judgments.
right?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like my homeless guy story. If I sat there and judged before getting a conversation about quantum theory and physics, I would never had that conversation with him. He actually taught me a lot of stuff. This homeless guy. But yeah, so there's so many cool gemstones, and every time you open your mouth and say something, Jennifer, I don't even know where to begin sometimes. It's like, judgment. Yeah, let's talk about that one.
Well, I mean, if you can't control, I mean, what I've learned is that I've been judged for me. I'm very tall. I'm like 5'11", 6 foot, and I wear 4-inch heels wherever I go.
Wow.
Nice.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Before but I've been judged my whole life, whether it's how I look, how I talk, anything, and it gets to a point I can't control anyone what they think or feel or do about me. So I just have to, be true to who I am, and always make sure that I give someone the opportunity, and never look at them, by, if they're covered in tattoos or they have pink hair. That means absolutely nothing.
Right.
Unless
you're pink, then that's your brand.
Yeah.
Then it means everything.
And it's interesting because like I come from like a family, there's specific people in my family who are very judgmental about everything. It's always about how the community or the people around us perceive us. So I come from but I've always had the very opposite view from a younger standpoint, and it's
that's where you rebelled.
Maybe, yeah. I hit too much of a rebellion stage. I was an athlete, so I put all my time.
What did you play? Volleyball or basketball? Which one?
Both.
Yes. Volleyball is my thing, so yeah.
Oh, I love beach volleyball. That's my favorite.
Oh yeah? Do you still play?
Yeah, sometimes. Whenever I go to the beach, and I used to coach.
When you come out to visit, we'll go play, because that's what I play. That's my sport.
Yeah, I think I remember us talking about that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I'll keep score on the side. I'm only 5'2". I don't think I could compete with
So
you.
is your husband like 6'5"? Did you have? I mean, was that something that you had to kind of like look for?
Yeah. My former one, he was about 6'1". Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Wow. So, but with your heels, you ended up taller than him then. 4-inch heels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Tim's. I don't even know how tall Tim is. Maybe 5'8". So yeah.
You're like Gulliver's Travels, right? It's like
5'9". Yeah, no, he always everybody. And my mom is only 5'5".
Wow.
My dad's 6'1".
Okay, so you got it from daddy's side.
Yeah, I definitely got it from his side. My mom's.
I love that you wear heels. I think that's really amazing.
I think it's cool. You don't realize that there's something mildly arousing about being around people that are tall, women that are taller than you. Thinking that everybody else is thinking, oh, the guy must be taller. No, it's actually kind of cool.
Well, I did runway for about 10, 15 years, and I
of
wore
course
like
you have.
six. So I love heels. Absolutely love them. I think
we're gonna find pictures out. Do you have any pictures that we can put on the blog?
Banana for scale.
We had a runway model on our show the other day.
I'll have to find.
That's amazing. So it sounds like you've led quite the fun life so far.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And there's more to come. And plus the fact that you like to travel, there's probably a lot more to come.
Yeah, but my true passion right now is really this education program. I really like in the past year of writing it. Through the foundation, we have our intention process, and I saw my daughter being bullied, and I told Tim, I was like, there's more we can do with this. Like, my background's education. Let's do an education program. He's like, go for it. And, we all collaborated, and my daughter was the guinea pig, and where she was 2 years ago to where she is today, dealing with bullies and just being more empowered within herself. And and seeing the results from her, and how she does competition cheer, and she gets on stage. She's on ESPN like 3 or 4 times last year.
Nice.
She gets on stage in front of thousands of people, and for her to be able to do that to where she was 2 years ago before she went through this program, she never been able to do it. So
is the education program geared only towards children, or is it just for anyone who wants to join?
Yeah, because Jessica is the one to deal with her stuff.
Grades 1 through 12, but our site does because we have like an intention process. This is like higher level goal setting, so our site's based on that. But yeah, no, the and it can be modified really for anybody. It could go into college as a course, but right now it's just for grades 1 through 12. But nice. It probably in the past year in writing this took me about 4 to 6 months to write. Which is not a lot of time for an education curriculum that's not coming from a book. I've written social studies, I've written Spanish curriculum, I've written all different kinds, but never one that was, from our head and, collaborating with Tim and from the foundation using principles and we have. So yeah, this is just, it's so amazing to see kids. I'll have to send you what I posted on our Instagram one time. I was this little girl standing in front of a mirror. She has to be like 3 or 4 years old. And she's telling herself in the mirror, like, I love my house. I love my sister. I love my curly hair. I love this.
I think I've seen that one.
I think I've seen that.
Oh my God. It brings me to tears every time I see it because I want to see all kids do this. Like, it doesn't matter the age, and just knowing from a young age that they can, they can create the reality around them, and that they, like we say, if you can imagine it, you can create it. And that's my passion right now. It's really trying to reach as many kids as we can. And
that's really interesting that we just had that career day this past Friday, and then now we're talking to you on this show.
Right. So I think the question that Jessica really has is, will this work on millennials?
But seriously,
I do think so. I really do think so. I mean, it because the process that we give you can be done, like I said, gratefulness, kindness, higher level goal setting, shifting your perception on how you think about something, speaking it into existence, making your goal in present tense rather than, because if you look at our education system across the country, you're taught how to write a goal. My goal is to do this, like a social goal or an academic goal, but they don't really teach you how to track it, how to put action steps to it, and then how to follow up on it and put meaning to it. Like we follow a man called Joe Dispenza, and he has 3 principles where it's repetition, expectancy, and meaning. So if you continue to repeat something, then, it goes to a different part of your brain. Then you you expect it to happen, and then you put meaning to it. Like do you ever think about this? Like me personally, I want a Dodge Charger. That's going to be my next car. I really want a Challenger, but that's a 2-door. I don't know if that'd be for my daughter. So settled on the Charger. But, once I put that in my head, then I started seeing more Chargers driving on the road.
Right.
And then I started seeing dealerships that sold Chargers because I put it in like the forefront of my mind and I set a present tense goal for it.
Yeah, they have a term for that. It's called RAS, Reticular Activator System or Sequence. It's basically there's a part of our brain that basically once it's activated, it starts to bring it up to the forefront, right? So, yeah.
You guys ever had an experience like that where you thought of something
all the time?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, every time I buy a new car, all of a sudden we see there's my car's so popular. I didn't think it was that popular. No,
I think this is really great because especially, I like to travel myself, and a lot of millennials, like one of the biggest things that across the board is traveling. And a lot of times they hear, oh, but I can't, I have to do this, I can't, I have to do that. And, even if you ask a lot of, and I don't just mean like millennials, but think back to when you guys were like in your 20s, like being able to explicitly lay out goals that can be measurable and attainable. It's just, that kind of mental space isn't so normal.
Well, and first of all, you're saying the word can't. Like, I can't. So, most of us have 70 to 90,000 thoughts a day, and most of them are negative and repetitive. So if you're constantly telling yourself you can't, so now you're telling your subconscious mind that, then basically you're telling yourself you believe that you can't.
Right.
So it's about flipping that perspective, kind of like what you were saying with the kids at Career Day with the mindset.
Right.
It's about flipping that perspective on how you perceive the situation. If you set a goal for yourself and you start telling it, oh, I'm so excited, I can do this, and you kind of tell yourself that, then you can come to that point quicker.
Right.
This is what I've experienced, and that's what we teach our kids.
Yeah,
so.
which is why you say if you can imagine it, you can create it. It's like that. That's why we talk about today's shows. Then think and grow anything you want. And there's something that that shows up a lot as we get older is that we start to doubt of things about that we try to imagine. Because as kids, we know kids, when they imagine something, they don't think that it's impossible. That's not the first thought that goes in their mind. I would want that. Oh, wouldn't that be so cool? If da 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 da. No matter how out of this world that thought is. Mm-hmm. Then as we get older, we start to poo-poo on our thoughts as soon as it becomes created. Mm-hmm. And I always, I always say to people, I said, hey, the fact that you're able to think it means it's possible. Mm-hmm. The reality of things is that if it's not real, it wouldn't be a thought in your head, right? We don't think about gravity's false, gravity's fake, right? We don't even think that. So I love this concept. If you can imagine it, if you can think it, if you can imagine it, you can create it, because it would not have become a thought, which is the first step in creation. It has to start with a thought, and if you don't even have a thought of it, then the fact that you have that thought means that you can. You just have to find the right sequence for it, right? Well,
think about this too. So when as we're kids, or as parents, I know you have a daughter, right?
Right.
So for the first 2 or 3 years of your life, you're telling her to get up and go explore. Get up, get up, get up. You're teaching them to walk and go explore, do things. But then after age like 3 or 4, you're telling them to sit down and not. It's like you're suppressing that imagination, and that's what education does. It's like what society does. Then you tell them to sit down and behave, right?
Right.
So you tell them for the first part of it. So then it's almost like a mixed message. It's like that. Someone had told me that at one point, and I was like, really, and that has to do with imagination.
Yeah.
Like, you're telling them sit down and behave. Sit down and sit down and do this. So after age 3 or 4, you're being told to sit down many more times than you are being told to stand up.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah, and that immediately starts to create this ongoing set of discord as we continue to grow up, and conflict, and parts within ourselves. Like part of me wants this, and part of me wants that. Versus just like, I want to do this, and this is what I'm going to do. I want to do this, and this is what I'm going to do. Mm-hmm. And here's the thing: is like, it's not because parents are intentionally wanting to do that. Mm-mm. They have no idea. I mean, they have no idea the ramification, the impact that they make from simple things such as, just to shut them down.
Well, it's limiting beliefs, and it's like being a growth mindset and fixed mindset. And as parents and society, and you can't help it. You're always, your beliefs are your beliefs, and then you do your best as a parent not to instill them on your kids. But they're going to pick up on some of your beliefs. So that's what we do a lot in our program, is we teach them to develop their own beliefs. Like, because we go through like a whole chart where we're like, what are your mother's values? What are your father's values? What are your brothers and sisters? Now, what are yours?
Right.
And, it really makes them think.
Yeah.
And one of the things I do with like teachers and stuff like that is I ask them a question repetitively, like, what's your purpose, or what's your vision? And I ask it to them, and I have them repeat it for a minute straight. And anyone can spit out their vision in 1 or 2 sentences, but when you're asked the same question for a minute, you have to dig deep within yourselves to be able to come up with all this, because it has to be a different answer every time.
Yeah.
And everyone looks at me and they're like, "Oh my God, is the minute up yet?" I'm like, "Nope, it's been like 20 seconds."
Right.
And they're like, "Oh my God," and it's hard because you don't, on a daily basis, you don't have to do that.
Yeah, this is the reason why it's so powerful, because you're tapping into that unconscious information that's been sitting there, that's not in the conscious mind. I mean, there is when we do value elicitation for our clients and our students, it's almost the exact same process. We ask the same question over and over again, and they have to keep spitting out answers until they're completely empty.
Yep.
So it totally works. That's amazing. So we only have a few minutes left. So what I want to do is, if there's one thing, okay, so we touched on so many different things, which is amazing today. One of the big things that some of our audience members will be listening for is like, what are some key points that they need to take into consideration if they're not saving money like you are? What are some simple steps they can do right away to kind of like be able to start implementing a savings system, a strategy that will have them consistently being saving money?
I would say, okay, so there's some really cool, like what I found, these really cool, like internet online banks, and start with $5. Like literally just allocate $5 and not go to Starbucks one day and put $5 in, or
the latte effect.
Yeah. So yeah, and which most people do, but just really look at and write. One thing that made me kind of see what I was doing when I got off track is I would record what I do daily. So I would journal it. Okay, I went and I this here, and then I spent my money here, and I'd be like, oh my goodness, I am spending money like ridiculously that I don't need to be. So where can I put this money for better use?
Right.
Because it's going to be more beneficial and serve me.
Yeah.
So I would say journal it, and then start like a little savings account. You could do an online one. You could just do with your bank or whatever. It's high yield one that, yields a lot of interest or something. But yeah, $5. Just start with that and journal it. That would be journaling is probably the easiest thing, because then you become more aware.
Yeah, $5 journaling. I think we'll call that practice $5 journaling. Okay, cool. So awesome with that. And tell us more about this program. So obviously some people are going to listen to this and they're going to start thinking about their kids and how their kids can participate in this program that you guys have put together. So what are some of the ways that can anybody get involved with this program, or is it they have to be local?
No, we're currently in homeschools, private schools, a few public schools have been interested. It's a little harder to get in public schools at this point. But there's about 90 schools out in California, actually in the Oakland area.
Wow.
And I've had lots of people who actually listen to our radio show who have contacted me via the radio to get our program out in California, because California is the only state that allocates mandates funding for SEL curriculum, which is social emotional learning, which is what we are.
Wow.
So yes, all you got to do is go. The direct site for the education program is uieducation.org, or you can just go to unitedintentions.org. Either way.
And we'll put both links on the comments after the show is done, so that way people, if they want to reach out, they can, and they can actually but just kind of learn more about what they can potentially do, especially for people who are big into homeschooling and everything. This is probably a great thing to incorporate into their home curriculum. Yeah.
It's definitely much easier with homeschool private, because it's very fluid, and the way I designed it and wrote it and how we want it to be is that everyone is so unique in their own right. Like, going to bring their own thing to the table. Right. Like, I'm not, I did public school for a little bit, and they gave me my box for the year, and this is your box. Stay in your little box. Well, I don't do a box. This is a framework, and everyone has something.
I'm too tall to sit in this box. I can't be in this box.
So that's how I want it. I want everyone to put their own, uniqueness to it.
Right.
So.
That's so cool. So what's next for you? I mean, you're obviously going to continue working on this program, right? I mean, you have so many things that you can do because of your background.
My big thing is I'm also actually a lobbyist in the state of Georgia and Florida.
Wow.
And my goal, I got to go up to the National Educator Summit in DC and meet with and the Mentorship Summit, and got to meet all these awesome people. And because Melania, her thing the next 4 years is SEL curriculum and anti-bullying. So my next step, of course, with this Imagine If program is to get it in as many hands and just empower as many kids as we can. But then on a legislative level, go and really switch the paradigm of education. And this is the kind of stuff that kids need. They need to learn about themselves and really understand that, you don't have to depend on everyone around you, that you can truly depend on yourself. And, start, instead of having negative self-talk, which a lot of kids do, is having more positive self-talk and empowering yourself and owning your choices.
Wow.
I think it's really big. So I want to do it on a legislative level.
Nice.
So,
wow.
Years.
Too.
So, yes.
Well, and if you do it on that level, you can actually start. I mean, I think what you could probably start doing, incorporating travel as part of your mission to bring that. And because I think not just the United States needs that kind of like impact or that kind of influence. I think kids all over the planet could probably use some of that SEL stuff, right? So, yeah.
I think every kid should, yes. And parents too. We have a whole parent section to teach parents, and because a lot. I think you and I talked about this.
That's
like
huge, yeah.
Like, don't ask your child, "How was your day at school?" Like, you're going to get a good answer. Yeah. And so I just like mindful questions to ask your kids, and really get to know your kids, because a lot of of us are too busy in our technology to really get to know.
Do you have a list of that somewhere? The basic, like fundamental basic questions that you should what you should ask your kids?
Actually in the program. Mm-hmm. I have a whole parent section.
Jennifer, do you do yoga or meditate at all?
Yes, both. Mm-hmm.
How did I know?
It's like the reason why she asked. And did you guys catch this? She was a Spanish teacher.
Mm-hmm.
I used to teach Spanish. Yes.
Entonces podemos hablar en español.
Don't fluently now. I'm actually relearning it back again because I want to be more fluent with it. I can read it much better than I can speak it now.
Right, because Jess and I, we both speak Spanish, so we could do we could have done an entire show in Spanish.
I have to bring Jesse in for that one. He's very...
Hola, mundo. Hoy tenemos Jennifer Kramer.
Maybe the next show. That'll be my goal.
The next show will be completely in español. We'll televise it right after Telemundo. Univision.
You're good at this.
No, we'll actually position it before Sábado Gigante, so that way people can think. No, anyway. I'm going off the rocker now. Okay, cool. So if people, so you have a gift for the listeners if they want to, now that you've had a chance to kind of go through, you actually had a variety of things to choose from. We talked about it. So now you can take a pick. What would you like to, for those who listen to this both, in live or maybe even after, they can reach out to you to get a gift, right? And Jesse kind of jumped on and said there was a couple other things too. But what is it that you would like to offer?
Well, it's almost like mindfulness life coaching type things. Kind of go through what we've incorporated in our education program and through our foundation. Mindfulness life skills. I could offer some free coaching with that. We do have a couple other people who are involved with United Intentions who do love and relationship advice, so I can offer that as well.
Wow. So it's coaching on a variety of levels.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what you're offering are free coaching sessions on either love or life through the United Intentions Foundation?
Yes,
nice.
And they can call me directly. They can just do Jennifer, JENNIFER.Kramer, KRAMER, at unitedintentions.org.
Okay, cool. So in case you didn't catch that, listeners, Jennifer Kramer over at United Intentions Foundation is offering free coaching through their network and through the people that are involved with their organization on a variety of different areas. If you need coaching around life in general, if you need coaching around relationships, love even, or maybe just around kids and how to help with your kids or help you parent your kids better, right? Yeah, they can reach out to you at jennifer.kramer at unitedintentions.org. Now.
Yes, and if you go to unitedintentions.org, it's a free membership. So.
Oh yeah, so make sure if you do that, you go sign up and be a member there.
I think I might just go do that.
So that's some amazing things once you become a member that you can see that you can't see from if you're not a member. So.
Yeah, and it's free, right?
All free.
All free. And if you know somebody who actually is big on contributing to organizations such as the one that Jennifer's involved with, by all means reach out, connect them. Jennifer's a great connector, and if you are a nonprofit, Jennifer also has some good experience on helping you receive some good funding or some kind of thing. So Jennifer's a great resource across the board. I've been so far, she's even helped out the foundation that I sit on the board for already, and it's been like a total blessing in disguise. So you're definitely a gift to this planet, to this world, and a tall one at that, which is even more exciting. I look forward to being able to play volleyball with you and everything whenever you get out here. But so again, reach out to Jennifer. Even if you have questions about saving techniques, I mean, she's obviously got a system down that absolutely works on to take care of. So you said former. So are you saying you're a single parent now, or?
Yes.
Okay, so she's been able to support and do everything as a single parent. Obviously has a good savings strategy down, which is all part of creating wealth, prosperity, and success and happiness, because you got to generate and you've got to generation and preservation are both just as important when it comes to creating financial success in your life. I have a sneaking suspicion because of all that you bring to the table, Jennifer, we might have you come, well, we probably will have you come back again, probably on a different topic, but there's probably so many in your repertoire that, you know, we can just pick and choose anything. So
and then do a second one in Spanish.
Yeah, and then
that is my goal. I'm going to write that. That is going to be my goal.
Nice.
So.
¿Qué estás haciendo últimamente?
Nada.
Okay. All right, cool. So I think that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, continue to post because we check the chat section and we get notified on our phones when anybody leaves a questions or a comment on the Spreaker platform for this podcast. You can then find us on iTunes. You can then find us on all of, and a bunch of other SoundCloud and, you know, wherever, and YouTube and everything like that. So make sure that if anything comes up, just ask a question. And I think, Jennifer, you'll be available to answer a few, right? If we have any.
Thank you so much for having me on. I'm so grateful.
Yeah, thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Lots of fun.
Yeah, I know. And also we could talk about it offline. I was like, going technology. Let's talk about something that's completely irrelevant to what I'm talking. So anyway, thank you so much. And if Jennifer, if you don't mind sticking around just a little bit afterwards, we can kind of debrief a little bit after the show. But the show is about to go. So, all right, everybody. Thank you so much for being on the show or listening to us. We'll be back next week, same time, same bat channel. And next week, we'll have Nick Hansinger. Nick Hansinger is part of the Illumination Academy, and he's going to talk about some really cool energy stuff. So stay tuned. Don't want to miss out on that. All right. Peace.
Bye, guys.